Hello, Jeffrey, and thank you again for being part of MIM Summit 2026. It's awesome to have you on board, and really looking forward to see you in person.
We're going to have some fun.
That is for sure. So, Jeffrey, you have a lot of stories, and we've already shared 3 videos of good stories from real life and how PowerShell was invented and how you can interact with AI and stuff like that. But there is many more stories to share, and this one is actually particularly fun. So, you've been with Microsoft for many years, and we've talked a lot about PowerShell. But there is another great story that we haven't touched on, and that's the .NET. Some of us who've been around for a while remember the Windows Vista, uh, or maybe you know the name Longhorn, as it was called, right? Um, Sometimes big ideas go in an unexpected direction, and yeah, I know you've got some great stories on that area, particular. So could you share a bit about the .NET and how it came to be and what that journey taught you?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is there's the story, and this is sort of the story behind the story. Not, I haven't really heard anybody talk about this, but here's what was really going on. So around 2001, Microsoft had a serious business problem when we shipped XP. And the problem was that XP was freaking awesome. Okay. It was the first client version of Windows to use the NT kernel, and it worked. It was stable, it was fast, it was freaking awesome. So, how could that be a problem? And the answer is we couldn't get anybody to use it. We had all these enterprises that were stuck on Windows 98. Now, the point is, it was so awesome, and Windows 98 was demonstrably unfit for purpose. So what do I mean by that? I mean, it's literally unfit for purpose, right? If you called a kernel API with a null parameter, the whole machine would crash. I mean, and that happened all the time. Remember all those blue screens of death? So the problem was, here was the business problem. If you have something as demonstrably unfit for business purposes as Windows 98, and you can't get people to get on something as awesome as XP, eventually we do that. But then you have the next problem, like, how the heck are you ever going to get them off of XP? Okay. So Bill Gates, right, business strategist, genius, right? He then came up with the Longhorn strategy. The Longhorn strategy was to engineer a discontinuity in the marketplace, right? Just as Windows 95 had been a discontinuity, right? There was the world before Windows 95, and then there's Windows 95. Generated so much excitement. All the hardware vendors loved it. They acquired new hardware. All the software developers loved it. It gave them new opportunities to develop great software. And so that was what we were going to do. We had a new graphics model, WPF. We had a new comms model, WCF. We had a new storage model, WinFS, and a new programming model that was the basis for all of this, .NET. It was all .NET, .NET, .NET. And it was a disaster. I mean, it was a disaster. So you remember how bad Vista was? Vista was the save. Okay. Longhorn was the problem, right? It was so bad, right? I mean, it had gone, I don't know what the number was, but it was over 6 months where we didn't have a nightly build you could run. I mean, really, it was that bad. Okay. We literally, the reset, when we say the reset, what was the reset? The reset was, hey, does somebody have spare backup tapes of the operating system source code? Because we got to go back a couple of years and reset. Like literally, that's what happened. We got the source code tapes and restarted everything. So the thing was that there was just a lot of bad engineering decisions going on, right? So at some point, Bill said, .NET everywhere, right? So there was a group of people trying to figure out how to get .NET in the kernel. And then somebody had the great idea, like, oh, I'll take the common control library and I'll convert it to .NET. Okay, so now here, let's get this in focus. You bring up Notepad, starts instantaneously. You take a look at the working set, 15 kilobytes. Great, love it. Then you go and you say, save as. 2 minutes later, 2 minutes later, the dialog box comes up. It's defaulting in .NET and visualizing it. So 2 minutes later, the thing comes up, and your working set goes from 15 kilobytes to 15 megabytes. I mean, it was insane. Just such a bad choice, right? And so then, instead of blaming our bad engineering choices and decisions, the Windows team decided, oh, it was .NET that was the problem. And that is why, to this day, there is such a split between the Windows world and the Azure world and .NET, right? Now, fun fact, there were only two leaders in Windows that stuck with .NET. Yeah, me with PowerShell and Scott Guthrie with .NET. So Scott Guthrie, the president of Azure. Yeah. So the real tragedy of all this was that it really kind of, for Microsoft, forever poisoned the well of any effort to try and get all the teams to support a technology, right? There are various times that we tried to do that after Vista, but they really just never succeeded. So the point is, you got to be revolutionary, but you got to be a pragmatic revolutionary, right? And we just weren't being pragmatic. All those ideas were very good ideas, but instead of doing it in one release, we should have done it in a couple. We should have let people have the right time to do it, etc. Anyway, that's what we learned.
And I hope these learnings then, take on to the next team that then build Windows 7 and build the next versions of Windows, right? And it's an amazing story because, yeah, back when I was at school, I was reading ASP.NET and stuff like that and started to code and then that kind of area. So yeah, VPF is also very used in PowerShell and calling
Mm,
for GUIs and stuff like that. So
yep.
yeah, I think it's an awesome story. And Windows 98, that was when I started to play the computer for real.
Yeah.
But the blue screening, that was real. All the drivers and stuff that was compatible. And oh man, uh,
Bad
that
stuff.
was disturbing for the gaming. That's one thing that's for sure. But Jeffrey, what a story! And you have many more of these, and we look so much forward to see you in Paris and have the keynote for us there, and be with us all week. And yeah, just have fun and share the love to the community. So, Jeffrey, again, 1,000,000,000 times thank you for being part of the MEM Summit 2026.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing you all there in Paris.
See you.